Green Acres, 1965 to 1971, one of TV's most beloved classic sitcoms, where city life met country charm in the quirkiest ways. But have you ever wondered what happened to the stars who brought Hooterville to life? Join us on a nostalgic journey as we revisit the unforgettable cast of Green Acres and reveal how they've changed through the decades, from their heyday in the 60s to now, in 2025. Some have aged gracefully, some have taken surprising paths, and all have left their mark on television history. This is Green Acres Cast, Then and Now 2025. A tribute you won't want to miss. Eddie Albert, who played Oliver Wendell Douglas, the New York lawyer who left the city for a life of farming in Hooterville, was 59 years old when Green Acres debuted in 1965. Known for his idealism and endless patience despite constant setbacks on the farm, Albert's character became a symbol of misplaced optimism. After the show ended, Albert's acting opportunities dwindled. Though he remained active in environmental causes, his professional life never regained its earlier momentum. He married actress Margot in 1945, and their marriage lasted until her death in 1985, but was fraught with tension due to her mental health issues and his long absences. They had one son, Edward, who would later care for Albert in his final years. Albert faced many personal struggles, including watching his wife deteriorate from a brain tumor, the near loss of his son in a car accident, and declining cognitive health in the 1990s. He passed away from pneumonia on May 26, 2005, at age 99. His estate was estimated at $3 million, much of which was left to his son. Despite his long life, Albert died a lonely man, haunted by memories of family tragedies and the sense of a career that never quite ended on his own terms. Eva Gabor, who brought elegance and comedic timing to Lisa Douglas, the socialite reluctantly living on a farm, was 46 when the show began. Though beloved for her charm and exaggerated accent, Gabor's real life was far less light-hearted. She was married 5 times, each union ending in divorce, and she never had children, often lamenting that she had missed her chance at motherhood. Her most stable relationship was with her 4th husband, textile magnate Richard Brown, but their marriage dissolved after only a few years, due to her longing for Hollywood while he preferred a quieter life. After Green Acres, Eva struggled to land substantial roles and was often overshadowed by her more infamous sister, Zsa Zsa. Eva faced numerous personal losses, including the deaths of her parents, declining health, and periods of deep loneliness. She passed away on July 4, 1995, at the age of 76 from respiratory failure and pneumonia following a fall that resulted in serious injuries. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at $1.5 million, a modest sum for a woman who once lived in diamonds and designer gowns. Pat Buttram, who played the sly and hilarious Mr. Haney, the conniving salesman always trying to scam the Douglases, was 48 when the show began. Off-screen, his life was marked by pain and resilience. Married to actress Sheila Ryan, their union produced a daughter, but the relationship was turbulent, marked by infidelity and long separations due to his work. After the series ended, Buttram found it hard to escape typecasting and was relegated mostly to voice work and minor roles. A car accident in the late 70s left him with chronic back pain, leading to an addiction to prescription medication. He also struggled financially, investing in a chain of Western-themed restaurants that quickly went bankrupt. His home was foreclosed in the 1980s, and he lived modestly in a small rental property. He passed away from kidney failure on January 8, 1994, at age 78. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at only $250,000, and much of his estate went toward medical bills. Despite his comedic legacy, his final years were steeped in regret and physical suffering. Tom Lester portrayed the sweet, eager farmhand E.B. Dawson and was just 27 when Green Acres began. A devout Christian and lifelong bachelor, Lester never married or had children, citing his dedication to faith and acting as reasons. After the show ended, he struggled to find work, as casting directors viewed him as too typecast in the country bumpkin mold. He returned to Mississippi, living a quiet, reclusive life on his family's farm. He suffered a series of health issues in later years, including diabetes and Parkinson's disease. Though he occasionally appeared at fan conventions, he was largely forgotten by Hollywood. His isolation intensified after the deaths of close friends and his own declining health. He died on April 20, 2020, at age 81 due to complications from Parkinson's. His estate was modest, valued at approximately $400,000, mostly tied up in land. Lester died with no immediate family by his side, remembered more for his kindness than his career, a gentle soul ultimately forgotten by the industry that once celebrated him. Alvy Moore, who portrayed the scatterbrained county agent Hank Kimball, was 46 when Green Acres premiered. His comedic timing and absent-minded delivery made Kimball a fan favorite, though Moore struggled with being seen as little more than a bumbling fool off-screen. Married to actress Carolyn Moore, their marriage weathered several storms, including Alvy's long absences and a stillborn child that devastated the couple. They had one surviving daughter, Alyssa, who later became estranged from Moore in his final years. After Green Acres, Moore's career faltered. He co-founded a small production company, but multiple projects failed to launch, plunging him into debt. He battled alcoholism quietly, and in the late 80s, he was diagnosed with early-stage liver disease. Friends reported he often spoke of feeling forgotten, his self-worth tied too closely to a role he could never escape. Alvy Moore passed away on March 4, 1997, at the age of 75 due to heart failure. His estate was estimated at just under $100,000, much of which was used to pay off medical and business debts. He died quietly, his legacy preserved only by devoted fans of the series. Frank Cady, best known as Sam Drucker, the warm, dependable storekeeper who appeared across Green Acres, Petticoat Junction, and the Beverly Hillbillies, was 50 when Green Acres began. Cady was known for his calm demeanor both on and off screen, but his personal life was anything but serene. He married Shirley Cady in 1940, and though they remained married until her death in 2008, they faced numerous challenges, including a son who battled drug addiction and legal troubles in the 1970s. Following Green Acres, Cady found work scarce and battled depression, feeling typecast and invisible in an evolving Hollywood. He retired early and became increasingly reclusive, living in Ashland, Oregon, where neighbors said he rarely ventured out in his later years. Though he avoided financial ruin, he lived frugally and on modest means, with an estimated estate of $500,000 at the time of his death. Frank Cady died on June 8, 2012, at the age of 96 from natural causes, a once visible man who spent his final decades in quiet obscurity. Hank Patterson, who played Fred Ziffel, the cranky farmer more attached to his pet pig Arnold than most humans, was already 76 when Green Acres debuted. Known for his gruff delivery and deadpan humor, Patterson was beloved on-screen but lived a tragically isolated life. Never married and without children, he reportedly distanced himself from family early on to pursue acting. After the show ended, his declining hearing made further work difficult. He suffered a stroke in the early 1970s, leaving him partially paralyzed and reliant on a caretaker. Nearly penniless, he lived in a modest assisted living facility supported by SAG's emergency funds. His final years were marked by dementia, and he often didn't remember having been on television. Patterson died on August 23, 1975, at age 86. His total estate was estimated at less than $20,000, with no known heirs. Once a household name in rural America, he passed in near anonymity, mourned only by a few colleagues and fans of his unique portrayal. Mary Grace Canfield, who portrayed Ralph Monroe, the eccentric female carpenter always showing up unannounced, was 41 when the series began. A character actress with a knack for quirky roles, Canfield found herself trapped in typecasting after Green Acres. Though briefly married to Charles Carey, their marriage dissolved after just 3 years due to Canfield's mental health struggles and her husband's infidelity. They had 2 daughters, Grace and Louisa, with whom she had a distant and at times strained relationship. After the show ended, Canfield experienced bouts of depression and turned to painting and community theater to cope with her fading stardom. She was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2013 and died on February 15, 2014, at age 89. Despite her modest success, her estate was estimated at just $200,000. She lived in a small cottage in Santa Barbara, mostly forgotten by Hollywood. Her legacy lived on through reruns, but her personal life was filled with sorrow, failed connections, and a yearning for the stability she never found. Sid Melton, who played the bumbling Alf Monroe alongside Mary Grace Canfield's Ralph, was 48 when Green Acres began. Known for his high-pitched voice and slapstick delivery, Melton brought levity to the show but carried heavy burdens off-screen. Never married and long rumored to be deeply closeted during a time when being openly gay could ruin a career, Sid led a double life marked by secrecy and loneliness. After Green Acres, he struggled to find substantial roles and was often reduced to bit parts or voice work. By the 1980s, he had faded into obscurity and faced financial strain, forced to rent a room in a friend's Hollywood apartment. He suffered a nervous breakdown in 1992 after the death of a longtime companion he never publicly acknowledged. Though beloved in fan circles, Melton remained largely unknown to newer generations. He passed away on November 3, 2011, at the age of 94 due to pneumonia. His estate was estimated at only $50,000, and he had no known heirs. Despite a life of laughter on camera, Sid died in quiet solitude, a symbol of how fame can vanish as quickly as it arrives. Barbara Pepper, who portrayed the gruff but lovable Doris Ziffel, was 50 when she began her run on Green Acres. A former Ziegfeld Follies girl and close friend of Lucille Ball, Pepper had seen the highs of early Hollywood glamour, but by the time she took the role of Doris, her life had unraveled. Widowed young when her husband, actor Craig Reynolds, died in a motorcycle accident in 1949, Pepper never remarried. She battled alcoholism throughout the 1950s, which severely affected her career and health. She had 2 sons, but both became estranged after years of familial dysfunction. During the Green Acres years, her deteriorating health limited her appearances, and she was ultimately replaced in the final seasons. Pepper died on July 18, 1969, at the age of 54 from a heart attack brought on by chronic illness and years of heavy drinking. Her estate was modest, estimated at around $25,000, having lost most of her earnings to medical bills and poor management. Once a Hollywood beauty, Barbara Pepper's final years were marked by illness, alienation, and the ache of lost potential. K.E. Cuter, who played the jovial but reserved farmer Newt Kiley, was 44 when he joined Green Acres. His character blended warmth with rustic charm, but Cuter's real life was marked by deep emotional isolation. Though he married actress Sarah Rowe in 1963, their union was strained by his emotional distance and her mental health battles. The couple divorced quietly in 1978, having had no children. Cuter's post-Green Acres career involved sporadic TV guest roles and voice work, but financial stability eluded him. By the early 90s, he was nearly bankrupt and living in a modest rental home in Burbank. Friends described him as generous but haunted, often writing poetry about loneliness and regret. Diagnosed with liver cancer in 2002, he spent his final year largely bedridden and in pain, with only a few friends visiting. Cuter died on November 12, 2003, at the age of 78. His estate was valued at under $100,000, with most going to medical expenses. Though remembered by fans for his gentle portrayal, Cuter's own life bore the quiet sadness of unfulfilled dreams. Robert Folk, who portrayed Roy Trendell, the stoic and hard-working farmer, was 60 when he joined the series in 1966. Often typecast as blue-collar characters, Folk struggled with being seen as replaceable in the industry. Married to actress Alice Frost, the two had a turbulent relationship fraught with jealousy and substance abuse. They never had children, and their bond eroded completely by the late 70s. Following his appearances on Green Acres, Robert's health began declining rapidly due to chronic emphysema, worsened by decades of smoking. He grew bitter about his waning career, often turning down small roles he deemed beneath him, which only deepened his isolation. Friends reported he became a recluse in his final years, disillusioned and nostalgic for a past that no longer existed. Robert Folk died on February 25, 1989, at age 82 from respiratory failure. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $120,000. Despite decades in the industry, he faded without much fanfare, his contributions acknowledged only in brief credits and the memories of devoted fans. Eleanor Audley, who played the sophisticated and often disapproving Mother Eunice Douglas, was 59 when she appeared in Green Acres. Known for her elegant voice and commanding screen presence, she was perhaps more famous as the voice of iconic Disney villains like Maleficent and Lady Tremaine. Behind her icy personas, however, lay a life filled with melancholy. Audley never married and had no children, reportedly due to a traumatic romance in her 30s that ended in heartbreak when her fiancé died suddenly in a plane crash. She lived with her ailing mother for much of her adult life, caring for her until her passing in 1961, which left Eleanor emotionally shattered. Although she maintained a dignified career, her roles dwindled by the late 1970s, leaving her financially secure but artistically unfulfilled. In her final years, she lived alone in a modest apartment in Los Angeles, rarely seen in public and suffering from severe arthritis and depression. She died on November 25, 1991, at the age of 86 from respiratory failure. Her estate was valued at approximately $800,000, left mostly to animal welfare charities and a few longtime friends. Though her voice remains immortal, Eleanor herself passed in poignant silence. Edgar Buchanan, who portrayed the jovial Uncle Joe Carson, was 62 when he became a fixture in Green Acres, also appearing in its sister shows Petticoat Junction and the Beverly Hillbillies. On screen, he was beloved for his cranky warmth and comic timing, but Buchanan struggled deeply with his sense of purpose after the fame faded. Married to Mildred Spence since the 1920s, their relationship soured in the 1950s due to Edgar's prolonged absences, gambling habits, and rumored affairs with younger co-stars. Though they never divorced, they lived separately for the last 2 decades of his life. The couple had one son, Buck, from whom Edgar became estranged after a bitter argument over finances. After Green Acres ended, Buchanan's health declined rapidly. He was diagnosed with cancer in 1975 and withdrew completely from public life. He died on April 4, 1979, at the age of 76 from a stroke, following years of painful treatments and personal regrets. His estate, largely depleted by medical bills and unpaid taxes, was valued at around $200,000. Though once a household name, his passing went largely unnoticed by the newer generation, a fading star eclipsed by time. Who is your favorite character from Green Acres? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.